guys, we're gonna be doing one of our little podcasts. Here with Nick. He is one of our long-term Patreons, always on our streams. You'll probably know him already. You know, the first time we met was 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna chat about Thailand. He's been here for a while. I don't know why we don't meet more often.
You're right. It's my fault.
But we finally got together. That's good.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm going through this phase where I'm considering leaving Thailand. And you are 1 year into living here, right?
Right.
When I met you 2 years ago, I won't name the country, but you're in another more developed Asian country. And I'm thinking about going to a more developed Asian country. So I'm sort of interested in your comparison and your thoughts about Thailand in general. And maybe you can confirm what I also think, about the pros and cons of living here. So, how do you like your life so far in Bangkok, buddy?
Well, so far I'm truly enjoying it. Really, I really enjoy my life in Bangkok. It's a great country to live in, and I know I'm gonna stay here for limited time, like a very finite time, like maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years max. And it has nothing to do with the country per se, but I want to try a different country afterwards. And where I work, I have the chance to, I can be posted in another country.
Yeah.
So, but definitely I see myself living here for 5 years. And what I like is that everything that I hear about Thailand, like you got to be careful about some sensitive topics not to talk about in public. I was already briefed, so no, I mean, it's a great country, and yeah, that's all I can say for now.
Oh yeah.
But I don't see myself living here until I retire, except that I would be coming back periodically, maybe 3 months per year or 2 months per year.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the sensitive topics and such, honestly, I don't have too much of an issue with it. Maybe if I was in my younger years and being more idealistic and like freedom of speech is like the best thing in the world, like I'm not like that anymore. I just sort of want to be left alone, respected, live a comfortable life, and as long as you do that, everyone else respects you.
Yeah.
And I keep on mentioning it. Although we compromise on possibly freedom of speech out here, I actually sometimes feel that there's definitely more freedoms in other areas and aspects, like especially compared to the States and such, like being able to, I keep using this as an analogy all the time. I can just drink beer out in the street and I'm not going to get, handcuffed or public intoxication or whatever, or harassed by the cops. Like, and even just on the freedom of speech part, it's weird. Although legally there's probably less freedoms on a technical basis, I feel like I'm far more free to speak my opinion out here, and the locals, they respect whatever I have to say, And I'm the kind of person that doesn't expect them to agree with me, but the culture out here is they'll just sort of listen to you, respect it, and go, oh, okay, that's just the point of view, and then we just move on.
Yeah.
Instead of always being pulled in and then into like a debate. I don't know if it's like that in Canada. Like, do you feel that? Like,
you have to be pro geopolitics. You have to talk about, you have to explain basically why you're voting for that party.
Oh, yeah.
What are your arguments behind that? What are your beliefs? What is your belief system?
Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, I love this sabai, here. Like take it easy, take it cool, be cool, and don't worry, be happy. I like that here. And I'm saying that not in a pejorative way, but I feel Thailand is about to get out of that banana republic, and this is my personal opinion, banana republic state, or kingdom republic.
What do you mean, like third?
It's no longer the case. No longer the case. I mentioned that to a friend of mine. He disagreed, It's getting more and more developed. The Thai government is making things happen,
Oh yeah.
unlike Cuba or Dominican Republic.
I
But
totally
it's
agree with you. Yeah.
but there's still some things to improve. But as any country, of course, the more I live here, the more I realize it could very well be the best balance as a country. Like for example, immigration issues in Canada, maybe in USA, you know more than I about that. We're having issues in Canada. Here, it's pretty simple. It's hard to become Thai, but you can become Thai, but you have to prove yourself, right? You have to be able to write, to read, to speak the language, you know the culture, you have to pass a very thorough test. In Canada, it's basically a funnel. People go to Canada and then they want to end up going to the United States. Unfortunately,
Actually, that's sort of true.
Yeah.
I know so many Koreans who do that. Yeah. It's really hard to get into America. And they can't, like Koreans, relatively, we copy the system of America. So they aren't as comfortable being in a legal status. You know, I'm just like, just come out here and then just like, you'll be able to stay, you know, if you really, really wanted to. Why are they paying like $500,000 for like some kind of investment scheme or something like this? And then working their butts off into like a business that's gonna obviously fail just for the, you know, it's like, it blows your mind. Like, I know because I was in the Korean American community, it's like, they're selling a business and I know this is losing money and everybody knows it, but they'll buy it. Why? Because they need to do that so it's like they have to go through like this legal pathway, but citizenship in a legal pathway in America it was really hard when I was getting it. It's close to impossible now unless you're loaded, you know? And it just sort of seems to incentivize people to do it like in an illegal fashion, you know? So they have to go through this roundabout way. They gotta go to Canada and then, you know, because Canadians get accepted a lot easier into America, and then it's funny, but they do that. Like, parents will literally send kids in their high school to like, you know, start that process. And by the time they get to college, they could make it to America.
It's hard on.
I mean, we take it for granted as Americans,
but the thing is, people are being told even before they start the immigration process that go to Canada, it's an amazing country, freedom of speech, human rights, you get a job easily. And then they go to Canada and they end up, doctors end up being taxi drivers, for example. And they're, well, in some cases, like from Haiti, for example, because their diploma is not being recognized. It's not being recognized in Canada. They have to redo another 2-3 years.
Oh.
So they don't want to do it, or they're doing it, but 2-3 years full time, part time becomes like 10 years.
I know, like doctors in Korea. I mean, in Korea, it's just like Koreans in Korea don't realize that America is exactly like Korea. They just think like us in the West just have it good. We don't really work hard. We just have barbecues they have the perfect work-life balance. And they're like, I want to get away from the hustle and bustle of all this, you know? Koreans have this mentality. And they're like doctors or whatever, and they decide they're gonna like pick fruits or something so that they can get under like some immigration scheme of like low-skilled labor workers that are needed. And then they'll go to Korea and like a couple of years they realize this sucks. But then they already invested like 3-4 years into it, and they're like, they just stick it out so that they can get that permanent residency within 5 years. And then you sort of start growing roots there, and then you're sort of stuck there until you get your citizenship. And by that time, if you're already my age and you're starting that process, it's about retirement time, you know? So then you're like, okay, let me just make, you know, it takes you like 10 years or whatever to go through this process of finally being an official US citizen. And then they can like grind out and make enough income, and then they retire in Korea. They're like, okay, I'm back in Korea and everyone's happy, you know? and then they meet up with all their friends and such, and they're like, their friends in Korea and such are like well off, rich, and it's like, why the heck did I work my butt off in America? You know?
Yeah.
Like they have this, and no one was able to see it because back then, like 30, 40 years ago, Korea was, really developing. It's only like half a century ago we were just in the Korean War, but now these like random people that just bought a building out in Gangnam, which is like a piece of nowhere, multi-millionaires, living the life of luxury, and then you have like people like my father's generation that worked their butt off in America, thinking that they're gonna have this fantastic life, going back there and they're actually, we call them like, my parents say like we're tumnum, like we're country pumpkins,
Okay.
Yeah, compared to like these Koreans that are living in like super advanced society. So. I don't know, I totally get that. I totally get it. But I can visualize it, but at the same time, as an American that has never been to Canada, I sort of feel like you guys do have a better work-life balance and stuff like that. But from what I hear, Canadians are complaining quite a lot lately.
I think that Canada is more socialist than the United States, no doubt about that. So, for example, when there was a 2008 crisis, we were not affected that much compared to the United States because of the banking system. And I'm not a specialist in the economy. I'm not going to pretend explaining why exactly. But basically, we were not that affected with the crisis, the recession. It was an impact, of course, but not as much as, not as big as the United States. But the cost of living is, I don't want to say is higher than the United States, but the income tax, the bracket is much higher. Like someone making in the 6 digits will definitely pay, I would say, close to 60% income tax. You guys have, I think, a limit of 36%, I think, or whatever. But I mean, it's much lower than us. So because of the population, it's not even 40 million, so close to 1/10 of the United States. So, but I mean, Canada is doing pretty well. I mean, we have Bombardier. It's one of the top 3 companies in aviation in the world. I mean, Boeing and Airbus is way higher, but still.
I don't know. I guess because of all the defense money, like some of Lockheed Martin and such, they probably make a ton of money too.
Probably.
Yeah. But okay, yeah, I didn't know about that.
But Canada we're struggling right now. Like BlackBerry, not doing well. Nortel Networks, I used to work for them. They went bankrupt. Or if they're not bankrupt, they're about to go bankrupt eventually.
I think this is the same everywhere.
But these were huge companies,
Think so?
Like BlackBerry was once the 2nd or 3rd biggest phone company, but not anymore.
Actually, the other day I was thinking about trying a social experiment and using a BlackBerry because I really love BlackBerry. Remember when they had the BlackBerry Messenger?
Yeah.
And you can text other people that are BlackBerries for free?
Yes.
And that was like a huge concept.
They were the first ones. Good
Yeah,
point.
before iPhone did this shit.
Yes.
And remember, it was like, we were all saying, oh, this happens faster for some reason. You would send a text and it would take 2, 3, 4 seconds longer than BlackBerry was like, boom. So everybody had a BlackBerry. I love my BlackBerry. And I just like how fast you can type it because you have tactile buttons.
Yeah.
And that little scroll wheel in the center.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna rediscover the simplicity. Now they're like actually making and selling phones that dumb down the feature. I'm like, why pay extra? I have a BlackBerry. I turned it on. It would not initialize on the network. I'm like, God damn it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of sad.
Yeah, it's sad. What's amazing about this country is that Thailand, they have some credits, a lot of credits, because it's not because it's a country where the climate is always warm. it's more than that. People come here for more reasons than people. People are very welcoming, very warm. They have a good sense of humor compared to other countries where I live. Very good sense of humor, and it's very multidimensional. Like it's not just for the single guys. It's not just for the elders, the youngsters, the backpackers. It's for anybody. That's quite amazing about Thailand. I've changed.
Preaching to the choir right now. I totally agree with everything you're saying. It's amazing how we think so similar.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I mean, so to sum it up, I'm just with. I wouldn't have even said 5 years, but I'm reaching about 5 years, and I'm at that point where I'm like, things that were exotic and new to me back when I first came to Thailand, now it's seeming the same and mundane. You know?
Yeah.
I would even say in about 2 years, 3 years in, everything was seeming regular to me. But the benefit here that kept me is like, I'm already with Mayu, and I'm living a very comfortable, convenient life at a very low cost of living with a good work-life balance. So why break what's not broken? You know? And the thing that tops it all off is, just in my particular stage of life, I was coming from just overworking myself with absolutely no work-life balance. My health was low, and the like sort of it could sound negative, but I think it's a positive. Like sort of the nonchalant, like happy-go-lucky, positive attitude of the Thai people, and just like their philosophy of living in the moment. You really don't know it until you actually live here. It just totally changes your mentality on how you approach things. And it was very healthy for me. I needed that in my balance, you know? But 5 years in, now I have that ingrained in me. And I think I'm going from this extreme. I'm here, like, this is a Thai person, really chill. Maybe I'm at their level already, and I'm like digressing even more. And I sort of feel like I need a challenge. I need more stimulation. I want something different. Not because Thailand is bad, but I'm still young at heart, and I still want to explore. I don't want to just be stuck in one place. You know?
Yeah. I do know. Yeah.
And I guess what really changed my mind overnight, and what triggered me, is about my personal issue with my family, right? My grandfather, and that's what triggered my mindset. Otherwise, I probably would have rode this thing out for another maybe 2-3 years, I think, because I'm really happy and comfortable where I am. But with the family, with this desperation that there's sort of a time limit on when I do this. It's accelerating my process. But it's about 5 years. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for Mayu, I would have probably moved on maybe a year ago, and then, like you said, just sort of keep this as a vacation. I mean, that was the whole mentality of why I bought a place here in the first place. I mean, it's not like I just impulse bought. I knew that I was already in the mindset that, one day I'll probably leave here and base myself out of somewhere else. But I would always want to come back to Thailand because there's nowhere else in the world that just puts my mind at ease like Thailand, So this is always going to be my vacation home.
About what you're saying, like, you've been living for 5 years. I think you've been living for a decade, right? More than a decade? Oh, that's cool. Hence, you've been fluent in Thai. Actually, there's no correlation, because I'm not sure in 10 years from now, my Thai will be fluent. But I'm pretty impressed, but I see myself living also maybe in Thailand for 5 years. And then, coming back every now and then. But it's hard to find another country that equals Thailand. Really hard. Like, you want to rent a scooter, you just go ahead, you give your passport, you take a photocopy, and there you go. It's 200, 250 baht. You want to find a hotel, for one night. You just walk. You don't even need to use bookings or whatever company. You walk in and there you go. I mean, I didn't find any single country that's so easygoing, so nice and easy. Yeah.
But you know what you talked about before about Thailand not going to be a banana country. I totally agree with that, and I think right now it's sort of when it strikes that perfect balance of it's modern and convenient, but it's still not as developed as like the very developed countries where the prices are still affordable and such. So and also sort of has that lively atmosphere, you know? So I don't think it's gonna last forever. And this is where I'll probably lead into my objective negatives about Thailand, which is like if I see Thailand being where Korea is right now in the next 30, 40 years, around when I'm gonna retire, I don't really see much of an incentive being here over, per se, Korea, you know? Because I think all the countries go through this cycle. Right now, it's like Thailand is at this growth cycle. And then they need to go through like this cycle of when they overdevelop, then people get educated, then the birth rates start going down, right? And then they sort of come to a realization, okay, we need to compensate for that with immigration. And Korea is going through that phase right now. Japan actually started earlier, but I think they're a bit more stubborn about accepting immigrants. But Korea is like battling that right now, and it has very favorable policies towards immigrants. Now, people are thinking, well, you're Korean, so it's like, I do have slight advantages, but technically I'm just still an American citizen. So these particular policies that affect immigrants affect me, like, greatly over there. And it's like such things as, when I get a job, you know, they're sure to get me into a retirement pension system. They're gonna get me into a, you know, sort of a universal healthcare system over there. And I only see the policies that are getting better as the birth rate starts dropping more and they get more desperate after they've exhausted all their policies, because they're already doing a lot to increase birth rates by incentivizing like women to have children, by giving them extra money or like free childcare, etc. But they're gonna have to start incentivizing immigration. And unlike America, like the borders are well controlled. I mean, you got North Korea protecting our border, so they're very selective about the immigrants that they do have, and it's not like they have an issue with over-immigration over there. You know, they can completely control that. So when that happens, they're only like seeking very high-skilled immigration, and when they do, then you sort of have better policies for them, because if you want high-skilled people, they're not just going to go to any country that's just sort of going to, you know, double tier price you like out here. They want more stability and, you know, something for long term, like healthcare and such. So, I mean, I think healthcare is actually something that I'm starting to think about more as I get older. Right now, I mean, you know my stance. I haven't been getting health insurance here because, I mean, basically health insurance for expats is only available almost like just as a private health insurance only, and health insurance companies out there pretty much just out there to make money. You're not going to win the bank, you know. You're not going to win the house. So when I do the calculation, it's not like health insurance back in the States where everything is guaranteed renewable, where everything is has really high max payout rates per incidence. Here it's like, if something happens, you're probably going to get like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 off of like basic insurance. And it's like, why am I paying a couple $100 a year for just like $3,000? And because what are the chances that's even going to happen to me in the next 5 years? And you know, I've already won because I haven't had health insurance in 5 years. So like the max payouts on these health insurance equal what I just saved by not paying for health insurance. You you know?
Yeah, I agree.
And then if I try to get like ones with really unlimited high rates, it's not practical because the premiums are just way ridiculous. Then when you start getting into these really high rates, that it wouldn't justify premiums. So I'm having a really difficult time. Like, how do I secure my health like for the long term? Right now, I'm not afraid of any long-term issues. And as far as short-term issues, like let's say I break an arm or whatever, I know I can pay for it because the copay, like just the cash prices here are so low. Like, break an arm, I pay like $500, $1,000. You know, I can get it fixed. There's like, I could just go to the government hospital instead of the private ones if it really push comes to shove. But yeah, I'm not, it's not like I'm brainless. I'm not comfortable with this idea. And I want something like long term. That's why I'm looking into a more developing country, you know? And that's what like me and Maya had a conversation about yesterday.
I mean, you guys have one of the top healthcare in your respective countries, right? I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe. But I mean, that's what I hear about Japan and Korea. Canada is like 26.
Korea is like,
it's awful in Canada. Unfortunately, it's going to get better eventually.
Yeah, Korea is way up there.
Okay.
When it comes to plastic surgery, no one comes close.
Yeah, I get it.
And then even the Samsung Cancer Treatment Center is like one of the top facilities in the world. Everything is affordable, and one thing I like about Korea is they cover for Eastern and Western medicine. So you have access to both. And sometimes like for common stuff like colds or muscle tension, I like Eastern medicine better. And you know, obviously we do need Western medicine for like the most complex issues like cancer and such.
Yeah, but from time to time I would go to a massage in Beijing, and I mean I would have back issues, back problems, and you know I would go there and it would be fixed, as long as it's not something more serious.
I wouldn't trust like cancer to use the medicine.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna. I mean, it comes to the cell level, but when it comes to like pressure points, I mean, this has been like studied for hundreds and hundreds of years. Just like stuffy nose, they'll put needles in certain pressure points and it clears it up instantly. I'm just like, what the heck, you know? So I've experienced it myself and I'm a believer. But Koreans are very wise to what things you go to an Eastern medicine specialist for, like an acupuncturist, and what stuff you go to a main hospital for, you know? So I like that. I mean, you have access to everything there. Drugs are cheap. Healthcare is obviously cheap. Healthcare is really affordable, even when you have like really big issues. So that's something that interests to me. Now, another thing that really concerns me is I think it would be different if I was retired and I had a steady pension or income coming. Then I would consider Thailand as a more viable option. But I'm still young enough where now I have a desire to pursue my passion, like filmmaking, make some money, you know, because I feel like this has been a very long needed vacation that I didn't have in my life since I started working since I was like 14 years old, being a janitor for my church, you know, every weekend. I never even took a trip outside of America, even though I have family in Korea. I went there for like 2 weeks. That was like once in 2007. So this was the much needed vacation I had, and this was like an extended vacation. But now that I got my work-life balance in order, health in order, I want to now start pursuing work. But the visa situation here doesn't really facilitate that too well. If you just want to make enough to live and eat, it's very easy. Like people are always like, how do you stay there long term? Or how do you get a visa? just teach English and your school will do all that work for you. Like, why are you even worrying about how you get a visa? Like, your employer does everything for you, you know? Like, I don't know which bloggers are watching that make it sound like this is such a hard deal.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get it. Now, the problem though is like, when you're entrepreneurial like me, or you want to branch out into other things, that work permit is only for that particular job. You make even a dime off of something else, then actually I'm less concerned about the Thai authorities and the Thai people. They're sort of like nonchalant attitude, you know, as long as you're not taking jobs away from me, you're fine. But then you have a lot of these toxic expats out here that maybe they're jealous of you because they can't find a job or something, but they're so quick to jump on you and then report you and make a big deal out of it and create drama, which, you know, at the end of the day, the person with the most connection wins, and I got connections, so I'll probably win, but I don't want to hassle it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, I don't really see this getting too much better, you know?
Okay.
I'm not holding my breath.
Well, I was thinking, I mean, it's something I never shared with you guys, but you're basically polyglots, right? I mean, you speak Korean and English, and you speak like 5-6 languages. I've stopped counting, I don't know, but I mean, since you're already in the business of teaching English, and you have a very solid experience, how about opening maybe a business in Thailand? Would that be feasible, or would that be too much red tape, or?
Yeah. Starting a business in Thailand.
I mean, opening a school, language school, for example.
You're not just talking about business costs, but visa legal costs. It's ridiculous. You have to, I don't know the details now, but I did research it. Unless you have a lot of capital coming in and you plan on making a really big business and setting up very good connections with top people out there in this community, I wouldn't do it. Like, small businesses by expats, it's tough.
Okay.
There's too much risk and variables.
Okay.
If I was doing it purely for making money, it's like, that's why I'm thinking Korea would be the obviously easy choice. Since I have permanent residency, there is nobody that can give me crap about it. You know, they can't nitpick about how I make money. As a permanent resident, you pretty much have all the rights a citizen would. Just like in the States, like a permanent resident, aside from being able to vote, you pretty much have all the rights according to you know? Korea has a similar system.
Okay.
Even here, you know, as a permanent resident, you're still not really, you know? It's not like that, but in Korea, I do, and I feel relatively comfortable. I mean, maybe it's psychological too, but I don't have doubts about my legal status there. But not only is it because I have Korean parents and I have permanent residency, when I discuss this with other expats, this is a similar sentiment that they feel. Whereas here, it's not about whether or not they like the country or living here, but when it comes to legal status, I have not seen so much like confusion, you know?
Okay.
I mean, the most popular form out here is Thai visa. It is a form dedicated to just visas because there's just so many ins and outs, changes, shifting sands. Like, it's like even if you see a law, you're not quite sure about it, and you have to confirm with other people's experience how it's applied. You know, it's like you can't really go there and argue. This is what you wrote. You have to take responsibility. This is how it's interpreted. You can't do that. Like, that kind of mentality that we Westerners have can't be applied out here. I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, I'm just saying it's different out here.
But maybe also, I mean, I speak for myself, but as a Westerner, I can only speak for myself that I'm not used to, for lack of term, to bribe, basically.
Right.
And it's not bad in a way. Like, you know, when you drive a motorbike, you forgot your driver's license. and the police stops you, and you just get away with it with a 15, 20 bucks. You open a school, you don't quite have the proper license, but that requires money. That requires losing 2 years of your savings. A big chance, a big leap of faith.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate here and actually state that I actually like this tea money culture because when I'm not being an idealist, I'm not. As an idealist, bribe is bad. It just sounds bad, right? Nobody likes bribing. Even the government here is working very hard right now to take care of that. So actually, in the long term, there is not. I don't see bribe being an issue in Thailand long term, right? As a matter of fact, I think once that happens, we're gonna probably complain that there is no bribe because we don't realize how convenient this is. Because bribing is all it is just an additional avenue for you to take care of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like this. Right now, it's I think it's practically impossible to bribe a police officer in Bangkok. They're coming out with like these apps. Even when I get pulled over, I didn't even know I was bribing, but it's like he's like, you have to pay a fine because you didn't have a helmet. And it was only 200 baht, and I'm like, okay, I'll pay it. It's only 200 baht, right? But he can't accept it because the correct policy is the red tape bureaucracy policies. I have to go all the way to Kongo, waste my whole day because it's in that district. Although I'm still in Kampong, I gotta go all the way to Kongo, fight that traffic, do all the paperwork just so I can pay 200 baht. I mean, I'm willing to pay even 200 baht is $6. I'm willing to pay 10 bucks just to not have to deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
And before bribing was the way, hey, just do me a favor and take an extra $4 tip because police officers don't make a lot of money out here, you know? And pay my 200 baht for me, you know?
It would be a win-win situation.
That's how I see it. It's a win-win situation, right? For everybody. The police get their money, and they get a little bit of tip, compensates for the lack of payments to them, and everything's convenient for me. And the fines are still cheap. Like, it's like, why is bribe not in America or Western countries? I don't think it's true. Because we see it in the news. When it gets to a lot of money, high levels, there are bribes. It's just that the average citizen isn't able to have enough to incentivize a bribe to a police officer because we pay them $80, $90, $100,000 a year. So what is an extra $500?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like Thailand is any less on a moral ground. It's just that it requires a lot less to instead. It happens in America. Don't tell me that, even if it's not with money, pretty girls get off of like tickets because they just flirt a little bit with the cop, and it's like, in an ideal world, is that correct? No. I would say no. But it happens.
Yeah.
So at least here, they give little guys like us a fighting chance to partake in the system of tea money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Thailand gets a lot of bad rep about it, but in my experience, if anything, as far as the police officers that I encountered, very by the book. I'm like, can I just pay 200 baht here? I'll pay you 300 baht. I really don't want to go to somewhere, No. And then later on I realized, that they probably are doing this because that would seem as a bribe, And I didn't even realize I was just like, because I'm just so used to, if there's a fine or some issue, just pay, Because it's not that much money. And I'm like, darn, I'm like bribing without even knowing,
That's what we're becoming, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, the end result is I did a bad thing. I'm paying a penalty, and I'm definitely not going to do that again because now I'm aware. Yeah. Even if it's $6, as far as I'm concerned, I'm cheap. I don't want to pay $6. I thought my passenger didn't need to wear a helmet because I see all tuk-tuk, like motorcycle taxis doing it. now I know that, and I'll never do it again. You know, everyone is happy. I follow the law. I'm aware of it. The police officer makes even more money than they're supposed to. The police department gets a lot of money, the same amount of money. I'm good. But then I realized, oh, if I paid him directly, there's no way for the government to keep track that he doesn't pocket everything. So that's why now the government wants to take money, so they're making sure this corruption gets rooted out, particularly with the police and such. So I noticed that they're cracking down on it, and soon Bangkok, Thailand is going to be just as bribe-free as America or anywhere else. And I bet you, that's when people that are complaining, oh, I don't like bribing, they're going to start complaining, why is there so much red tape? You know? And soon it's just going to be exactly like America, and there's going to be no difference. Like, there's no incentive for you to come out to here. Like, people think that there's this utopia that can exist that has the best of everything. But no, there's compromise. If you want things convenient, it's not going to be ideal, like in an ideal sense, like ethical sense possibly. If you want things to be high tech and modern, it's not going to be as cheap and affordable, you know? And right now I think Thailand has that perfect balance where, for me, at least for me, it's convenient enough, affordable enough, modern enough. But soon it's gonna be like Korea or anywhere else.
Yeah. Right now, at this very moment, I agree. It's very balanced. For me, it's very well balanced.
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds right now. As you say, maybe in 20 years from now, 30, 40 years from now, it'll change, maybe. But right now, I agree with you. Hope, I mean, there are so many other places in the world where people are taking it easy, but they're ghettos, it's dangerous, you feel a little bit for your life. And then there's this sabai, like, I'm gonna bribe the policeman. But here it's like, you can, okay, let's not sugarcoat it. You can bribe, but at the same time, if you refuse and you want to go through the system, the red tape, the police guy is gonna let you do it. All right, there you go, here's the ticket. And, I mean, it's okay.
I don't know. I mean, I personally...
But in other countries, it would be like, you better pay me. It could be like, you better pay me, otherwise...
Other countries, like, you can't bribe, but you gotta pay $500 for a red light violation, Like,
yeah, that's it,
It blows out like 2 months of your disposable income, I mean, it seems excessive to me. Even at $100, I'll remember never to do that, But you're gonna put me in debt, and struggling to pay my bills. Because I stopped at a stoplight for 2 seconds instead of.
Well, in southern France, I was doing 117 over 110. Just 7 kilometers over the limit, and I got a ticket. And the radar took a picture, and it cost me like, I don't know, not a lot, maybe 50 or 60 euros, but still, over 7 kilometers. That's the law. The law is the law in those countries, in the Western world.
I think, there's a nickname Koreans have with America. They call America the land of laws. And it's so true, like, there's just so many laws, so many things you have to follow, and you're like constrained, like, that's why I don't feel free. Like, we might have freedom of speech, and that's still relative, because like we talked, if we say something, in America you have to justify why you think that, and then put yourself into this mold of what they think. And there isn't like, it'd be one thing where if they think there's people like of many molds, but it's like you're either a Republican mold or a Democrat mold. You're either a conservative or a liberal. You can't be a liberal Republican. There's no such thing. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a conservative Democrat. No such thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think you can be a Christian Democrat, you know? That doesn't exist. You know? I mean, if you're like of a certain sexual orientation, you cannot be a Republican. You have to be a Democrat. It doesn't matter, you know, if you're a Christian, then you're like, oh, what do I do? Do I go into the Republican camp or do I go into this, like, it's like so confusing over there. You have to label yourself and you gotta fit into a mold. You have to identify yourself as that mold and follow in this little, you know, straitjacket. Yeah. This is me, you know? And if you try to be deviant, deviant, what's it called? What's that movie called? Divergent. Divergent. If you're divergent, people think you are basically, they don't just leave you alone and go, okay, this guy's just unique. Like they would out here. They would just make you enemy. If you're divergent, you're not with us, you're against us. So you make enemies with Republican friends, Democrat friends, liberals, conservatives, Christians, so it's like, you have to fit that mold, otherwise we're not going to accept you into our camp kind of thing. And it's like, I don't think that's freedom of speech. That's like, freedom to choose two options, you know, it's like yes or no. And what kind of freedom is that?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Illusional.
Yeah,
illusional.
There's nothing more American than what we say, the pursuit of happiness. You know, basically, you can pursue whatever makes you happy or what benefits you. That's how I interpret it. You know, I just thought, you know, like, for example, a Democratic or a Republican like platform is idealistically what's going to make this country the best. And I switch parties so much. And because every time I support it, I realize, crap, this isn't really working out. That isn't really working out. So now it's just like, just do what benefits you. And that's what sovereignty of a country is. If you're a sovereign country, you have the right to decide what benefits you, you know? And it's like, hey, if you don't want immigrants, go for it. I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but they're free to do it.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like, I guess the only thing that's unfair is like, us Western countries have this moral high ground, and we can't do it. Because we have people that believe that the world is so ideal that if we decide to be all giving, you know, and show everybody, you know, that you can just completely open and not control anything and not be selfless, then everybody is going to also be selfless.
You have a very good point.
Then they're going to do this as well. Like, this is an ideal. Yeah. It is an ideal that has never once proven right. Throughout the history of mankind, men have only proven that if you are weak, you're just taken advantage of. The strong will rule over you, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I guess in a perfect world where everybody had that same ideal, this ideal would work. But you and I both know, having lived out here, you start giving away, you're taking advantage of it, you know? And it's just human nature. I can't even can you blame a lion for mauling you to death and eating you if he's hungry? No. It's just survival. If there's one law that exists out there, it's the rule of survival, you know? So, yeah, China can go ahead and do that. I mean, I have really no issues against it. I mean,
the thing is,
I mean, I have an issue because, I would like them to be more accepting of foreigners or whatever. It's like my own personal interest, but I'm in no position to judge.
That's one of the topics that fascinates me. Is that about Thailand? Thai people will travel. They will do. They will study abroad, work abroad, and then eventually they will come back to their country and they will realize there's no place like home. And I understand why they would think like that. I understand, it makes sense. The best food in the world is Thai food, one of the best. The Thai people are so nice. The stress level is so low. The weather is one of the best. So and they come back. So they don't export their ideas to other countries. So there's a sort of a reciprocity by default. Like they go to Western countries and then they come back, or they stay there, but they make a decision. And it's good. It's favorable for Western countries to have such a country like Thailand. But other countries, it's a different ball game. Like, and this is something because I live there, and I don't want to get too political, so I'm being careful here. But it's a lack of reciprocity. This is the thing, and of course you're right. It's their choice. That's their choice. But we are trying to develop a new concept which is called multiculturalism, right? And as you say, we cannot impose that upon other countries. We cannot. But it works with Thailand because they come to Canada or United States or Europe and then they come back or they stay, but they respect the culture. Other countries, it's a different situation. And yet I think, again, it's my opinion, that we need to change maybe a little bit. Like Trump.
You know what? I meet a lot of Canadians.
I think he's doing well. I think he's doing well.
I meet a lot of Canadians and English people and Aussies who really like Trump.
Yeah.
Because they're dealing with an extreme issue that is hurting them. But what you say, it makes sense. It's reciprocity.
Yeah, reciprocity. Yeah.
Reciprocity?
Yeah, reciprocity.
That's a Latin root word. That's why you French know it, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing. I'm kind of cheating. Like every time I use a word that sounds sophisticated, it's because maybe I'm not using the correct one.
No, I think it is
reciprocity.
Yeah. No, I heard of that.
Yeah, but no, because
reciprocate.
Yeah, reciprocate.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I'm gonna use euphemism. If they don't be reciprocating, then there's no. You can't just insist that you have to accept it. I think that's sort of arrogance on our part. Like, hey, yeah, it is. I agree. Me insisting that, hey, we're gonna keep accepting you and expect you to also accept us because you have to be part of this,
Yeah.
What do we call it? Kumbaya, the world is all good kind of thing. That is arrogance on our part.
Yeah. No, we are arrogant.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt that we are arrogant.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you should let them figure out for themselves that if it's a bad policy, that is not a bad policy. Figure out for themselves. It's like a parent. Like even if we are correct, like a father, right? He'll probably know better than his kid. Even if we are correct, you don't say, hey, don't do it. You just have to accept what I have to say on face value. No, you let the kid burn his hand on the plate and go, that's not good.
Seen Star Trek The Next Generation or the Borgs. Remember the Borgs?
Yeah.
Just saying that, I'm not going to develop on that, elaborate. But yes, I would love to.
I don't know what you mean by that, but
well,
I totally, because I watch Star Trek. And we are like the Federation.
Yeah.
It is very ideological. It's great. If everybody agreed to it, it'd be great. And then you have some rogue nations like the Klingons that just want to fight, whatever. They'll never be successful, right? Wars. They actually assimilated all the useful parts of America that makes capitalism work, and they just incorporate. They have no. It's they're not restrained by ideals like America. They just do what's efficient. And actually, I sort of respect them for that. What America did with democracy has never been done, and it was quite successful, right? Capitalism, it took it one step further. Like we think, well, this is communism, like Leninism, you know? No, I think it's like a version of hybrid capitalism, like socialism and controlled economy that the world has never seen, and it's actually quite successful. You know, that's as an American, I feel like threatened. You know, seriously, I'm not saying it's ethically right or wrong. Basically, moving beyond that, it is efficient like the board.
Yeah, I mean, you build a bridge.
Yeah.
There's no lobbying. There's no news about three people died,
Yeah.
and it's straightforward. It takes 6 months, whereas in Western world would take maybe 3 years or 2 years. American Factory?
Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
Oh,
But
Netflix, American Factory.
that was funny.
And you can clearly see, even as an American, I have to admit, far more efficient, you know? And they're not able to, the Americans weren't able to adapt to that system because it's not safe and, you know, et cetera, which is also true, right? But it eventually, it's like, in a situation, what do? Like, you have to do it to have a job. If not, you're just going to kill yourself off. You know, do you stick to your ideals and die, or? But that's American mentality. It's like, I would rather live free than die, which I also respect. You know, being an American, you know, I have that mentality as well. That probably scares the crap out of. If it's not beneficial, then you know, logically you shouldn't do it. Self-serving. But Americans are willing to sacrifice and just bring you down with them if they don't like it, and that probably scares the crap out of them too. It's like, what country does that? So it's like, I think it's unique, but it's like, what's arrogant is either of these systems insisting that you need to adopt ours. I think it needs to play out, and we will soon see what is a better system. And honestly, I think Americans in general, they have to unify. It's like above like what is the ideal system. You cannot, you know, have like be competitive in an economic world with such an efficient machine, like when you yourself within your country are fighting amongst yourselves. You know, like I say this all the time. Like it's like just think of any kind of like minor like thing relative to the big scheme of things. Like Americans will argue over interpretation of abortion or something like how you tax a church or something like this over conservatives and liberals. They're going to be arguing over this, and because of this argument, they can never agree, and they'll never pass any legislation. And soon, they're going to take over America, and everybody is going to just, so it's going to be irrelevant. It's like, you know, it's like, look at the big picture here. If one party says this, then the other party by default cannot agree with it. So whoever says, hey, no, you know, I don't think that's right, they have the right to defend themselves, you know? I'm going to support them by donating money to them and going over there because I want to, you know, enforce my ideals and worldview on everybody else that even the other half of my fellow Americans don't agree on, you know? They're going to fight over it. They will never unify, you know? When it's like amusing to me because living out here, I see that Americans have so much more, like they're the most unique country out of any, like they're not even similar to other Western countries like the Brits or, they have so much more in, like, that's similar and binding to them, even what they do agree, that they could overlook the differences and, you know, work on those similarities and make sure that those ideals are successful in the world. But right now, we're just too busy fighting over what we don't agree. You know, it's just like, come on now.
You know, one thing is when went to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 3 years ago, something like that. Something I loved about going back to USA is I would be talking with people in the bus, cashiers, salesmen, anybody, and that's amazing. So talkative, being able to talk about anything. I forgot. That's right. I can talk about that. I am allowed to talk about the current government.
I mean,
And that was amazing. Like the people were so warm. I realized, it's time for me to try a different country.
Yeah.
Then I went to. Before that, I went to Thailand, and that's where I realized it's the perfect balance. You can talk about almost anything except something.
Except politics.
Except politics. Yeah, except politics. That's right.
But actually,
anything else. And people have a good sense of humor here as well.
I think that helps this country.
Yeah.
Because
Yes, it does.
honestly, if Americans had this rule that you could talk about anything except politics, they would see that they have so much more in common and similar with everybody else. The end result would actually be that they would agree more and get more done. But I don't know, the education system convinced us that debating and arguing our point and standing up for what we think is right somehow is going to make this world a better place. And they can't even pass the simple budget resolution. It's like, that's how America is.
But for us,
that's what I miss the most about America. Like, I can just talk to anybody, and in a matter of 3, 4, 5 minutes, I'll be talking about their life. We're so open, so friendly, But what the media presents, perception-wise, you talk to a Thai person or anybody else that hasn't been to America, they think everybody in America hates everybody. That we're always fighting. But no, like, actually, when you actually go there, Americans are some of the warmest, kind-hearted people. Like, good family values, conservative, like, roots, hard-working. I'm very proud to be an American. That's the core values that make us. That's still what's holding the thread of America together, because based on what you see on the news, it's hell out there, you bring up a very good point.
For us, it adds value to our lives to just have a talk. In other countries, where communism, dominates, it's more like it is so pragmatic. For example, I would do language exchange with students in a coffee shop, and they would say they wouldn't order anything. On top of that, they would ask the waiter to bring some hot water. And I would ask, how come? Because it's pointless. I'm going to pay just for the environment, and I'm going to pay just. And if I were to say, but you can pay to have a nice chat, why? What's the point? And they're not wrong. Like, chat. I'm not making more money. I'm not bringing food on the table. I'm just chatting. But for me, as a Westerner, to just have this conversation with you guys, it brings value brings something in my life, to watch your channel and to reply and write a comment.
I totally agree with you. I think what most people want in this life, lately I'm realizing, is they want validation. They don't want to feel alone, And the fact is, you are not alone. I think that's why a lot of people like my channel, because even though I feel like I'm a divergent, a lot of people, not only in America, but I've soon realized everywhere. I even have people from Lebanon reaching out to me, that they relate to what my view of the world is. They always thought they were alone,
Interesting.
But it could be about any issue, like my points of views on the world are very unique. Just enjoy life. Don't take life too seriously. Have a good work-life balance.
Okay.
Having a white picket fence capitalism, although that's good, if you can afford it, that's great. You can find the right life balance. But even if you can't, there's a way you can enjoy life, etc. Right? People, it resonates with people, and it gives them, courage to go on with their life. They might not agree with everything I say, but just understanding, I always thought I was alone because I don't fit into this mold of being a Republican or being a Democrat, But there's other people out there. Mm-hmm. And you just need that courage to survive and keep going. Because there's nothing like worse than the feeling of being alone.
Yeah.
It will drive you insane, it will drive you to commit suicide, And we can, we have this conversation, we can go back feeling like, oh, I'm not alone, I got Nick here, he thinks exactly like me. As great as Thailand is, he's thinking about moving out in 5 years too, trying to see another part of the world. Not because he thinks it's going to necessarily be better, but we want to just experience something new, And I don't know what you could take out of this. Like, oh, Ethan's like this too, He appreciates maple syrup and Canadian beer.
Canadian beer.
And German vodka, whatever this is. That's what we need. That's probably that is worth a lot. Any last words, buddy?
Well, I mean, no. I think you wrapped it pretty well. Wrapped it up pretty well.
We'll have to meet up more often.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Yeah, because I was settling down also and all that, and now I have more time.
How's your love life?
We're gonna have to edit that out.
Right.
I'm kidding. Well, am I kidding? No, right now I'm single and I'm a happy single guy.
You can read between the lines.
No, there's no line. There's no line to read. There's no line. No. I'm I guess a decade older than you, more than a decade, and a decade and a couple of years older than you. So when you reach that age, you don't want to, hurry up and just find someone. I'm not that kind of guy who wants to find someone just so that I'm not alone.
Oh, okay.
Some kind of maturity or getting old. Look at it the way you want, but
I totally agree with that. That is, I think that is a very. Before I would have disagreed, but now I believe that is the best, healthiest mindset. Like, you should only see someone if they really add something to your life. Not out of desperation, because that will leave you horrible.
Have you guys been together for, again, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, all the time.
Nice. Yeah. Great couple.
Huh?
Great couple.
Thank you.
Great synergy also. Yeah. Great.
Well, anyways, I gotta go live stream now. But good chatting with you. Why are you turning it off? Bye.